Good morning. Happy Sunday. Today is the traditional day where Tiny Grisham will refuse to debate me, but he will go to comic cons and he will go to other protests and things like that, even though today's his family day and he can't take an hour or two out of it to debate me because he's a chicken shit as well as a chicken hawk, as well as 3 feet of stupid who has to sit on a soapbox to see over the steering wheel of his car. And Leonard, I know Leonard thinks that it's 3 phone books, but Leonard is wrong. It is a soapbox. If you watch his last video, he says at the very end that he's going to get off his soapbox, which means he's going to disappear below that steering wheel, never to be seen again. That's ad hominem. Yeah, I know. So here's why. I was asked to comment on this video. I've seen it before. I watched it again with a little bit more of a critical ear this morning. And I know the eyes of Texas are upon Earl right now, but I really wish the eyes of Texas would get cracking and get me some more of the documentation on the original rape case. And I'm going to tell you why. I've seen quite a bit of it. I've seen enough to know that Grisham is lying. And he, by the way, he calls himself Chicken Hawk. That was the name he chose for himself on Discord, so don't think I gave him that name. I gave him Tiny Grisham, but he gave himself Chicken Hawk. And if you don't know what that means or why that's interesting, especially in light of what's currently going on, well, why don't you take a moment, pause the video, and go Google. Go Google Chicken Hawk and tell me what you come up with. Because, questions. Anyway, so the biggest issue with Tiny Grisham's little video is that he doesn't accept a standard of proof. There's no standard of proof available to him that he will accept because he's seen the case files, which he hasn't. He's lying there, and I know he's lying because he also seems to think that it has to do with a consensual encounter that the parents got involved in, and that is a lie. That is one of Earl's many cover stories. He uses that one. He also has said that she was the wife of a police officer who was cheating on the police officer. When the police officer found out, she called rape. There's the story about he was 19 or she was 17 or something like that, and so it was statutory, and it wasn't. I mean, he just pulls these things out of his ass. He used his daddy's. He was working as a security guard in his daddy's security company. He used a security vehicle to pull over a woman who had just left the bar, and then he raped her. And she identified him out of a lineup. She required him to speak because he was talking to her with his lispy Dave voice. Hey guys, I'm Dave. Hey guys. He was talking to her in that voice while he was raping her. So it wasn't the police who set him up. It was a victim. Apparently there was a string of these, of women who were being pulled over by a cruiser style vehicle that didn't match any of the local police vehicles. The police had narrowed it down to Earl, and they only got him on one because of a severe tactical blunder by the prosecution. And Earl had a good attorney at the time who filed a motion to have all of that kept out of this current case as being prejudicial. So there you go. A jury, 12 of his peers, 12 citizens, believed beyond a reasonable doubt that Earl committed it. But Grisham doesn't think there was enough evidence, because Grisham's never going to see enough evidence, because Grisham is in Dave's corner, Earl's corner, and there's nothing that Earl can do to change that. All the other bullshit he did, all the other grandstanding about how he'd cut a baby raper's head off, that's just grandstanding. That's just being a keyboard warrior. That's just a tiny man trying to pretend he's a tough guy. That's all that is. Come on. So You may also notice that there is a disparity in the level of proof required for various things with Tiny Grisham. He's fine. He knows that Smollett's guilty. He knows this. He knows Smollett lied. He knows it. He doesn't need no stinking proof. He knows the cops are working together. He knows it. There's no other explanation he can come up with for why it took 17 years. I mean, that's unprecedented, right? 17 years from the time the first allegations were made till now. Unprecedented. I hate to break this to him, but number one, this is not based on what cops say. This is based on what victims say. The victims are coming forward. I would refer you to Bill Cosby. The victims came forward after many decades. Victims came forward, not the cops. Any affidavits that are filled out that were sent into the grand jury to get the grand jury indictment that got him arrested, those are going to be based on victim statements, not police statements, victim statements. This isn't some grand conspiracy by the police. The county prosecutor would have presented it to the grand jury. This isn't some conspiracy. These are victims that are now old enough. What might take 17 years? I don't know. Maybe turning 18 and moving out. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about that? Now, again, I'm not saying that Earl's guilty, and I'd love to get my hands on a little more evidence before I start making more claims. But Tiny Grisham's position is full of shit. Tiny Grisham is full of shit. Tiny Grisham is a little bitch who has been ducking me every Sunday to go do other things every Sunday because he's a little bitch. He's a tiny little bitch who sits on a soapbox to see over the steering wheel. I hope I've made that clear. So anyway, long story short, since there is no evidence that will suffice for Tiny Grisham, he needs to see it himself. That kind of bullshit. You know, people who are making those claims. Oh, and the people who are saying, you know, prove to me that I'm a liar. Those people, like Library, like Black Label, Fat Label, those kind of guys, prove to me that I'm this, prove to me that I'm that. There's no amount of proof that you'll ever be able to present to them to convince them. And they seem to think that they're the ones who need to be convinced. Tiny Grisham seems to think he's the one who needs to be convinced. It's not. As far as Earl is concerned, it is 12 of his peers. 12 citizens of, what is it, Harris County? That's who needs to be convinced. No one else. As far as convincing a liar that they are in fact a liar, no, they're a liar. You'll never convince them. They'll never believe it. Oh, he's an upset little puppy over there. Anyway, so that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Thank you for watching. If the eyes of Texas get me some more information, I will prepare a video showing exactly how I know Grisham is lying. But at this point, all I really have are an affidavit by a cop. I've got the true bill. No, I don't have the true bill. I've got the verdict. Might have a couple other documents. Anyway, I don't have everything, and I want everything. Because that's how I work best, is when I have everything. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.